I'm Dr. Mark Socinski. I'm the Executive Medical Director of the Advent Health Cancer Institute in Orlando, Florida. I'm also an active member of the Institute's Thoracic Oncology program. EGFR mutations in advanced non-small cell lung cancer were initially described in 2004. There was the rapid development of several generations of EGFR tyrosine kinase inhibitors. 5 are now approved by the FDA for use in this setting in advanced stage disease. Based on the FLORA data, osimertinib is the TKI of choice, if you will, because of its efficacy. But its indication, remember, is in the sensitivity mutations, either EGFR exon 19 deletion or the exon 21 L858R mutation. We established that it was better than chemotherapy. In osimertinib was better than the first generation drugs, gefitinib or erlotinib in the FLORA trial. When we have successful therapies in stage 4 disease, we began to look at moving them up into earlier stages of disease. And most recently, we had a presentation by Roy Herbst of the ADAURA trial, which was the adjuvant osimertinib trial. This trial took patients who were surgically resectable stage 1B through 3A using the 7th edition AJCC staging system. These were completely resected, and they had an EGFR either exon 19 deletion or exon 21 L858R mutation. So the two common mutations are sensitivity mutations. If the investigator felt that adjuvant chemotherapy was indicated, patients were allowed to get 4 cycles of adjuvant cisplatin or platinum-based chemotherapy. It was not mandated that they get adjuvant therapy, but the majority of patients did. And then following that, or following no adjuvant chemotherapy, patients were randomized to osimertinib at the standard daily dose of 80 milligrams versus placebo. The primary endpoint of the trial was disease-free survival. It's important to remember this is not overall survival, this was disease-free survival. An independent data monitoring committee halted the trial early, did not unblind the trial, but halted the trial early because the disease-free survival benefit was highly statistically significant with a hazard ratio in the 0.2 range. So an 80% reduction in the risk of recurrence in these patients compared to placebo. So osimertinib was highly effective. There was also, one of the things we know about osimertinib is that it's a very good brain drug. It has great brain penetration. And the CNS recurrence rate in this population was also significantly reduced with a hazard ratio of approximately the same magnitude. Now, this was greatest in stage 3A versus stage 2B versus stage 1B. Let me rephrase that. This was the greatest benefit in stage 3A, so the N2 population that has the highest risk of recurrence. But it was also quite impressive in the stage 2 as well as the stage 1B patients. It was beneficial whether you received adjuvant chemotherapy or not. And there were absolutely no new safety signals. I did forget to mention that the trial was designed to give 3 years of osimertinib treatment as adjuvant therapy. Again, because the trial was stopped early, we still don't know all the details of how many patients actually received 3 years of treatment at this time. So when you visually see the disease-free survival curves, they're very difficult to ignore, but I keep reminding people that they are not overall survival. Now, the question is, will the very powerful impact on disease-free survival translate into an overall survival advantage? That is yet to be determined. It'll take us several years to get the answer to that trial. I do think this brings into the conversation in these patients several things. Should you be testing routinely for EGFR mutations? I would say yes, based upon the ADAURA trial. Is this absolutely a mandate to give it in the absence of an overall survival benefit, meaning that maybe if they recur and you give it later, might the survival be the same? We don't know the answer to that right now. So I think this is a conversation that needs to be had with those patients with EGFR mutations about the potential benefit, but stressing that it is a disease-free survival benefit, not an overall survival benefit in this population. I will remind you that with adjuvant chemotherapy, there is a known overall survival advantage. So the ADAURA data should not be taken as you can replace adjuvant chemotherapy with adjuvant osimertinib. That is not the message from the ADAURA trial. So in my practice, I routinely, particularly in the node positive population, recommend cisplatin pemetrexed for the most part, since almost all these patients have adenocarcinoma. And then I would have the discussion with them about osimertinib and the pros and cons based upon what we know from the ADAURA data, at least to date. We'll have to stay tuned for the overall survival numbers as they mature over the next several years.